guys, welcome back to this episode of Gov School Rocks, where we learn to speak rock so we can understand what the environment's telling us. This video goes along with my field trip last week to Seneca Rocks. While I was out in the field, and you guys were in class, I was having some fun walking up the hogback there, the knife edge, while I was doing that, I was admiring the rocks I was walking by. Because, why wouldn't you, right? So the first stuff you walk by when you're at Seneca Rocks is a bunch of rockfall from Seneca Rocks itself. And Seneca Rocks is made up of this sandstone. We call it the Tuscarora Sandstone. If you look closely, it's a coarse sandstone, and that means that the grain sizes in this sandstone are large enough to be seen. And when you feel it with your fingers, you feel it really, 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 really well, like a nice gritty sandpaper. So they're pretty coarse. This sandstone has been partially metamorphosed, and so it's very resistant to weathering. And this sandstone is the reason why we have that knife edge hogback. But that was all rockfall, right? But the next time I saw the Tuscarora was actually up there on the rocks. The next rocks that I actually saw were much like this. This is Martinsburg Formation, and this lies below the Tuscarora. You'll notice that the ridgeback is up like this, right? It would have been horizontal at one time. And the Tuscarora Sandstone, in terms of the stratigraphy, sits on top of the Martinsburg, actually sits on top of the Martinsburg and on top of the Juniata. We'll get to that in a moment. As I was walking up, I ran across some shale. And that shale was oriented more like this. It wasn't straight up and down. It was more like this. So there was some variation in the structure on the way up. But the shale itself tends to be a dark shale and actually tends to represent what we call turbidite sequences, or sequences of submarine landslides, which is pretty cool, but pretty deep water stuff. So it's pretty deep water. As I was walking up the trail a little further, maybe another half mile, I ran into this stuff. This is Juniata Sandstone. You see how red it is? Really rich in iron. It's also a sandstone though, which means that unlike the Martinsburg, it's shallower water. So now we're up into close, not quite to a beach environment. We're closer to that. When we get up to this, we're definitely much closer to that. We're definitely in the shoreline environment here at the Tuscarora. These were oriented more like this as well. Not perfectly up and down yet, but pretty close to that. And there wasn't as much of this. In both the cases, these were pretty weathered away, and there wasn't much left to see. So as you're walking up the back of Seneca Rocks, that's what you're walking on. Now, if you walk on the other side of Seneca Rocks, which is not depicted in any of the material that I have, then you walk down on top of Tuscarora Sandstone is the Mackenzie and then the Bloomsburg Formation, and those will be on the other side. Again, they are not very resistant to weathering. Like these, they get weathered very easily. And all that's left is the mighty Tuscarora. All right, until next time, rock on.